how everything can change in a matter of days. It was all good just a week ago. We beat up on the Chicago Sky a few days ago. 35-point victory. Caitlyn Clark triple-double. Indiana Fever riding high. Indiana Fever fans riding high. Caitlyn Clark supporters riding high. And then, of course, the dweebs do what the dweebs do. They make up nonsense. They make up lies. And the WNBA validate the lies. The WNBA validates the nonsense. The WNBA validates non-truth.
Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. This dump, this turd of turds known as the WNBA, this damn league can't get the hell out of their own way. They don't get it. They just don't get it. The diva of dump divas, Kat Engelbert, she does not understand how fragile this fan base is. And by fragile, I'm referring to their level of loyalty to pretend basketball, which in this case doesn't exist.
You would think the number one thing you'd be talking about after that game, after that amazing performance from Caitlyn Clark, the triple-double, the amazing passes, the crazy shots, you'd think we would be talking about basketball. The number one thing you think we'd be investigating is how nobody else in the WNBA has ever done anything like Caitlyn Clark is doing. We should be investigating the fact that Caitlyn Clark's 4 threes in that game were more exciting than, like, if you go to 2022 and check out the top 10 plays of the WNBA season, her 4 threes in that game were more exciting than those 10 plays. Literally. Like, what she does in one game is single-handedly more exciting than anything we've ever seen in the WNBA. That's what we should.
This is what started all of this.
It's a flagrant. And then Chicago will maintain the basketball. Reese misses.
Okay, that was it. That noise you heard right there that sounds a little bit like a dolphin was actually a YouTuber called Flight Reacts. A laugh. All right, a laugh. That, it's my understanding, actually gets played during NBA games too. That's what it's all about, because they tried to say that sounded like a monkey.
Oh, how fast everything can change. Just a week ago, it felt like pure, unadulterated celebration. My team, the Indiana Fever, were riding high, fresh off a massive, record-setting 35-point victory. Caitlyn Clark was showcasing skill you wouldn't believe, delivering a triple-double, passes that defied physics, shots that were simply jaw-dropping. As a fan, a supporter, someone who loves to see excitement in the game, you felt like you were on top of the world. We were riding high. Her supporters were riding high. This felt like the undeniable dawn of a new era for the WNBA, a moment of genuine, earned success. But then, according to this raw, dramatized account, it took a sudden, ugly turn, and the air filled with tension. The narrative claims certain people, perhaps those unsettled by the sudden shift in attention, the blinding spotlight now focused elsewhere, started manufacturing drama, spreading lies, creating baseless nonsense. And this tale claims, chillingly, disturbingly, the league itself seemed to somehow validate this toxicity, giving oxygen to the negativity instead of shutting it down.
National television. It's been the most in all the sports over the last 24 hours, rather. Angel Reese, many would suggest that she overreacted, but Slick, do you have an issue with Angel Reese's reaction to Caitlyn Clark's flagrant foul?
Yes, and I have an issue with the way she reacted. I have an issue with the way it's being handled by her, by the Chicago Sky, everybody involved.
But what exactly were these alleged lies? What was this nonsense, these accusations that reportedly sparked such fury and division, casting shadows over a moment of triumph? This story tells of serious accusations of deception, swirling just under the surface, veiled in secrecy, whispered in corners where they could do the most damage. The baffling part within this fictional narrative is that despite their severity, no one seemed to know the precise details of these claims, leaving them vague enough to fuel suspicion and allow wild speculation to explode across the internet, creating a fertile ground for conflict. It was as if my team, the Fever, were, in this story, unwittingly on the brink of exposing some hidden conflict, some uncomfortable truth, some secret the league desperately wanted to keep buried. Was this situation, as this intense fictional account implies, a calculated power move by the Fever or their supporters to gain leverage in the league's shifting landscape? Or are we, in this dramatized tale, witnessing the immediate visceral pushback against change? A bitter reaction that could genuinely, fundamentally rock the WNBA to its core? This moment in the narrative felt like a fuse being lit, promising intense drama, a clash of old versus new, played out both on and off the court.
I'm just really thankful. They continued to show up for us, and they make a lot of noise. Like, they're into it. They're not just sitting there. Like, they're invested in this basketball. It's great for our league. It's great for every team that gets to come and play here. I think we've had a lot of great battles, and they've helped us win a lot of games on this floor. So, like I said, hopefully we can bring the playoffs back here and give them a taste of it, because they deserve it. It's been since 2016. So, it's only going to get better and better from here on out.
And what makes this whole situation so frustrating, so baffling in this story, is that it's happening just as the league is finally seeing unprecedented, long-awaited attention. My team, the Indiana Fever, specifically powered by the undeniable force, the magnetic pull that is Caitlyn Clark, were becoming the league's biggest draw, the hottest ticket in town. We were the crowd puller, the franchise every sports executive dreams of injecting into their ecosystem, a sudden jolt of pure, unadulterated energy. Our success wasn't just about winning games, it was shining a blinding spotlight on the WNBA itself, creating buzz, generating headlines, drawing attention it hadn't seen in years. Ticket prices were reportedly soaring, sellout crowds became the glorious norm, a sight rarely seen before Clark's arrival, and new fans, young and old, diverse in their backgrounds, were tuning in by the thousands, eager to witness this phenomenon. The Fever, led by Clark, were bringing an electric energy, an excitement, a mainstream attention that the WNBA had been desperately craving for decades, a golden opportunity landing in their lap. Yet, despite this undeniable surge that undeniably benefited everyone, the reaction from parts of the league and some established voices in this story was baffling, even openly hostile, as if the success itself was the offense.
Not a flagrant foul on Caitlyn Clark. Listen, I was at the game. If there was somebody being racist or saying shit, obviously boot him, never let him back. I would be stunned beyond belief if that was the case. This crowd, I've sat on the wood for a million games, been in a million environments. The crowd at the Fever game, little girls, families, ladies, nice crowd. You even though it's 100% false, by acknowledging we don't condone hate and not seeing that this was a internet rumor, complete bullshit, you're lending credence to this. There was none of that. It was a great crowd, a positive crowd. Yeah, Angel Reese deserved to get her ass booed when she attacked Caitlyn on a normal foul. Other than that.
But here's the twisted part this story reveals: the alleged undercurrent of negativity. Instead of a unified cheer that echoed through the arenas, instead of embracing this rising tide that was lifting all boats, the narrative claims the blame started shifting, turning opportunity into conflict. My team, the Fever, and our passionate supporters were suddenly cast as villains, painted as the problem, accused of being too loud, too proud, too disruptive to the established order. The story alleges this was the kind of too much that threatened a carefully curated narrative, a comfortable status quo that some were unwilling to let go of, preferring predictable obscurity to chaotic growth. It felt like the league's own version of, "You can't sit with us." A clique mentality played out on the court with questionable officiating and baseless accusations instead of schoolyard tables. Instead of embracing this genuine surge in interest, this story suggests parts of the league seemed more focused on trying to silence the very team and players that were bringing new energy and excitement to the sport, actively creating a battleground where none should have existed, turning potential allies into alleged adversaries.
The Fever said they wanted to hone their defensive skills last season. In the offseason, Stephanie White made it a point to drill that idea home. I mean, Caitlyn Clark talked about upping her defense, and in the offseason, they picked up a lot of key defenders. They picked up Natasha Howard, who is the 2019 Defensive Player of the Year, and last season, the Connecticut Sun came in first in their defensive rating. So what did the Fever do? They took Stephanie White, they took Keith Porter, they brought in DeWanna Bonner, and they said, we're doing this.
And this alleged resentment, this bizarre focus on manufactured drama, seems to be actively holding the league back, stifling its own potential, according to this story. The narrative focuses on the specific play involving Caitlyn Clark and Angel Reese, the one that became a social media firestorm, generating headlines for days. It's argued in this tale that the foul Clark committed on Reese should not have been upgraded to a flagrant foul, a designation that significantly escalated the incident. The story pushes back against this, arguing that if you truly respect women's basketball, you let them play, allowing for the physical, intense moments that are a natural part of the game, just like they are in the men's leagues with legendary rivalries. Rivalries, intensity, even animosity. These aren't negative, they're components that add excitement, drive ratings, and create compelling sports narratives that captivate audiences. Who cares? This story asks with a note of frustration if Angel Reese reacts a certain way or acts a certain way publicly. That's part of the game's personality, the human element. Yet the narrative claims the immediate, explosive leap to accusations of racism directed at the Fever fans felt like a deliberate, calculated attempt to escalate the situation far beyond the scope of a basketball play, injecting toxic external issues into a sporting moment. This story implies the backlash wasn't solely about the foul, it was about the attention, the undeniable shift in power and visibility that Clark and the Fever represented.
Hear your perspective on the flagrant foul. What was the point you were trying to make to her?
It's just a good take foul, you know? If you're wide open 2 points or, we send him to the free throw line. Nothing malicious about it. It was just a good take foul. Every basketball player knows that.
But who is actually putting their money where their mouth is and supporting the league through all this alleged drama and manufactured outrage? This story points to an ironic truth that should be undeniable to anyone looking objectively. The Fever fans, the ones allegedly accused of being too loud, too passionate, even engaging in baseless claims of racism in this narrative, are the very ones consistently filling seats, buying jerseys, and causing sellout arenas across the country. They are, this story emphasizes, the financial engine, providing the concrete, tangible support that the WNBA desperately needs to thrive and expand its reach. Meanwhile, the story claims other teams and their fans are often portrayed as watching from the sidelines, stuck in a state of what the narrative interprets as grumpy resentment, passively observing as their own team's ratings and merchandise sales are overshadowed by one star and her team's dedicated, vocal supporters. It's a stark, undeniable contrast presented in this story. The fans who are actually fueling the league's success, providing the vital energy and capital, while others seem more focused on creating controversy and controlling the narrative than embracing the genuine opportunity for collective growth.
Today, the WNBA is investigating alleged racial comments that were directed at WNBA player Angel Reese by fans yesterday at the Gainbridge Fieldhouse. Actually, that game was on Sunday. The Players Union says it supports, on Saturday rather. The Players Union says it supports the investigation and condemns all forms of hate and discrimination.
And this alleged resentment, this bizarre focus on manufactured drama, seems to be actively holding the league back, stifling its own potential, according to this story. The narrative implies it's as if parts of the league have forgotten that competition. The emergence of new stars and passionate fan bases should push the sport forward, creating a dynamic, exciting environment, not hold it hostage with petty grudges, internal politics, and unnecessary drama. Instead of embracing this new, vibrant energy, this story suggests some are intent on suppressing the very team and player fueling the league's renewed excitement, creating a battleground where none should have existed, turning potential allies into alleged adversaries. The narrative points out the hypocrisy. If Angel Reese or someone else had committed a similar hard foul on Clark, the story argues the storyline would have been completely different, likely framed as toughness or rivalry. This story argues that the league and certain media outlets fixated on the foul itself, escalating it to flagrant and bringing in outside volatile issues like racism, instead of just acknowledging it as a tough, clean play that's part of competitive basketball, a sign the game is getting more intense. The story uses commentary from a fictional observer at the game, adamantly stating that if there had been any racist behavior, they would have been stunned, and those people should be removed. but asserting the crowd was overwhelmingly positive and supportive.
People just aren't used to the heated intensity of a great rivalry. But in the NBA, we had MJ and the Pistons, we had Bird and Magic. We're kind of used to it. As Caitlyn Clark in Indiana hammered the Chicago Sky, it was like 4.5 minutes left in the third. There was a foul. It should not have been upgraded to a flagrant foul. It was a foul. And I really think if you truly respect women's basketball, let them play. Sort of like guys. Rivalries equal ratings. Sports is better with intensity. Animosity is part of it. This is okay. Who cares if Angel Reese doesn't like Caitlyn Clark? It's not soccer.
And here's where the story gets truly complicated, adding layers to the conflict. The narrative doesn't just focus on the on-court incident or the fan reaction, it shines a light on the relentless media circus surrounding the league, a circus allegedly fueled by this drama. Every time the Fever take the court in this story, the focus seems to shift from the actual game, the athleticism, the strategy, the skill, to who's going to spark the next controversy, who can craft the most sensational shade or social media post while maintaining a picture-perfect public image. It's almost as if the league has become less about basketball and more about who can generate the most off-court headlines, turning genuine sporting moments into reality TV episodes. Angel Reese, with her undeniable flair for dramatics and bold personality, is portrayed in this narrative as being elevated to the league's IT girl, receiving the lion's share of the spotlight and media attention, regardless of the nature of the events, seemingly rewarded for generating controversy. Meanwhile, Caitlyn Clark and the Fever are allegedly cast as the villains, the stereotypical antagonists in a storyline that's becoming so predictable, it borders on cliché in this story, constantly fending off manufactured negativity.
Had Angel or anyone else done the exact same type of a foul to Caitlyn, the storyline is different. I don't have an issue with the foul. I thought it was a hard foul. I was always taught you don't give up an easy basket, and that's what I thought Caitlyn did. My thing with that was stand in it.
Stand on business.
Yeah.
I got no issue with none of it. It's just basketball soft as hell right now on both sides of it. There ain't no damn flagrant foul.
But the real victims in this narrative, the story argues with passion, are the fans themselves, the core supporters who are investing their hard-earned money, their time, their emotional energy to fill seats, buy jerseys, and boost the league's profile, helping it finally gain traction, find themselves caught in the crossfire of this alleged internal battle. Suddenly, in this story, supporting the Fever is seen as the problem, while cheering for other teams is dismissed as just being a regular fan, somehow less invested or less problematic. The double standard, as portrayed in this narrative, is glaringly unfair and potentially damaging. It's as if fans are only allowed to root quietly, politely, and without making too much of a mark or disrupting the pre-approved script of how WNBA fandom is supposed to look. This attitude, this story claims, seems to be actively undermining the league's own undeniable potential for widespread growth, pushing away the very audience it needs. The story argues that the Fever and Caitlyn Clark exemplify exactly how the WNBA can expand its reach, attract vast new audiences, and genuinely compete with other major sports for attention and respect on a national stage. Yet, instead of embracing this unprecedented potential, this story suggests parts of the league appear intent on maintaining the status quo, clinging to outdated narratives, internal politics, and petty rivalries that ultimately hinder its progress. The league's alleged resistance to change, this story concludes, its apparent discomfort with the explosive growth the Fever represent, could be its biggest obstacle to future sustained success. The narrative uses commentary stating the core audience's loyalty lies with Caitlyn Clark, not necessarily the WNBA as a whole, a loyalty that isn't guaranteed to extend if the league keeps pushing this alleged negativity and drama.
Of this audience, they have no loyalty to the WNBA. Their loyalty lies with Caitlyn Clark, and that loyalty, it is not guaranteed to extend to the rest of this putrid league. No one is loyal to the dump. No one cares about the W.
Look at the bigger picture, the story urges, because the stakes are higher than just one game or one rivalry. The Fever are bringing in fresh eyes, new energy, and a revitalized sound that the league desperately needs to thrive and become a major player in the sports world. Ticket sales are soaring, merchandise is reportedly flying off the shelves faster than they can stock it, and social media buzz is at an all-time high, making the league relevant in conversations where it never was before. Yet, this story highlights the media narrative, allegedly influenced by the internal conflict, remains fixated on the negative. Conflict, controversy, and who started it, instead of the positive. Because apparently, stories about genuine growth, excitement, and positive change aren't as attention-grabbing as drama and division, perpetuating a cycle that hurts the sport. This skewed focus, this story claims, underscores larger, uncomfortable conversations about sports culture, fandom, and the quest for legitimacy in the public eye for women's athletics.
You can just feel the energy from the crowd, like they're also just itching for it, and that's not why you play, but I feel like that's the part of the game I take a lot of pride in. I want to be able to do a lot of different things for this team, and honestly, when I think I get the ball off of a missed shot, off the rebound, I think it's other teams have a really hard time stopping us in transition, and I can just pitch it up to my teammates to fight.
The WNBA is vying for its place in a crowded sports landscape, fighting for every bit of attention. And players like Caitlyn Clark are pivotal to its rising visibility, breaking down barriers and bringing in audiences that never watched before. Instead of being celebrated as trailblazers, they often find themselves in this story in the crosshairs of alleged jealousy and outdated gatekeeping from within the system itself. Veterans and established figures reportedly resenting the sudden shift in power and attention. Meanwhile, Angel Reese and her supporters are portrayed in this narrative as being shielded, protected, even elevated, as if they somehow hold the keys to the league's future direction and identity, despite the controversial on-court antics and behavior that might not be tolerated or excused in other professional sports leagues. This alleged double standard, this story claims, is glaringly unfair and sends a troubling message to aspiring players. Talent and dedication alone might not be enough if you don't align with the league's preferred narrative or political stance. This bias not only stifles genuine progress, but risks undermining the league's hard-earned credibility and potential for genuine, widespread growth that transcends any single player or moment of drama.
I need one word to describe Caitlyn Clark.
Dog.
Slayful.
Generational.
Generational. Dominant. Passionate. Amazing. Powerful.
Historical.
Legendary.
Ready.
Explosive. Badass.
Indiana.
Awesome. Amazing.
Amazing. Extraordinary.
And we now have a statement from Mel Raines, who is the head of PSNE, saying, quote, "We are aware of the allegations of inappropriate fan conduct, and we are working closely with the WNBA to complete their investigation. We stand firm in our commitment to provide a safe environment for all WNBA players."
The story concludes with a powerful message about embracing the moment, about the potential being squandered. The Fever players feel the energy from the crowd, this story says. They're itching for it, ready to perform at the highest level, focused on their game, their defense, their transition offense, their ability to dominate through skill and effort. This is what they take pride in, what they work for, despite the alleged external noise and manufactured controversies. This story asserts that the fans who have shown unwavering support are being unfairly vilified for their passion and loyalty, and that the media often ignores the positive contributions, fixating on manufactured conflicts. This, the story claims, is a classic, frustrating case of blaming the messengers, the team and the fans who are actually champions of the sport and its potential, rather than addressing the real underlying issues that might be fueling the drama from within the league itself. Issues like resistance to change and discomfort with a new face of the sport. Ultimately, this story concludes the Indiana Fever and Caitlyn Clark represent more than just a team and a player. They embody a movement, a potential revolution in women's sports that challenges the comfortable, established order and demands a new level of visibility and respect. The narrative suggests that no amount of petty disputes, alleged internal politics, or external drama from within the league can diminish the undeniable significance of that spark of change they represent. The genie is out of the bottle. The story ends by emphasizing that while some within the system may be trying to extinguish the Fever's flame, to push them back into the shadows, they're only fueling the fire of the public's interest and fascination, creating a momentum that isn't slowing down anytime soon. Watch closely, this story warns, because the WNBA, in this dramatic telling, just became much, much more exciting, for better or for worse, dragged into the spotlight by the very team it allegedly tried to suppress.